My dear brothers and sisters, how can a troubled heart find peace? Where does a restless soul go when the world feels too heavy to carry? My brothers and sisters, every one of us has lived moments where we cannot sleep, where our minds replay every fear, every mistake, every loss. We walk through the day, but it feels like we are walking through fog. We smile, but the heart is trembling inside. And in those moments, Shaitan whispers, "You are alone. You will not get through this." But Allah tells us the opposite. Allah says in the Quran, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." The heart was created to find peace only with the one who created it. You can give the heart money, it will still fear. You can give it people, it will still break. You can give it the world, it will still feel empty. But give it Allah and suddenly the impossible becomes possible. Sometimes Allah shakes your heart not to break it but to wake it. Because if He didn't remove certain people, certain plans, certain illusions, you would continue believing that peace comes from them, not Him. So He lets a relationship fall apart. He lets a door close. He allows a plan you love to disappear. Not because He wants to punish you, but because He knows what your heart doesn't. Your peace was never in that thing to begin with. And look at how Allah sends signs at the perfect moment. You might be crying silently in the night, and suddenly you stumble upon a verse, a reminder, a friend's message, an unexpected kindness, small things, but they land in your heart like light. These are not coincidences. These are Allah whispering to your soul, "I am with you. I have not forgotten you." Think of the mother of Musa as placing her newborn baby into a river because Allah inspired her, "Do not fear nor grieve." Imagine the terror, the trembling hands, the uncontrollable tears. Yet she trusted Allah completely. And what did Allah do? He returned Musa to her, made him a prophet, and turned her fear into honor. This is what Allah does when you surrender. When your heart is troubled, it's often because you are holding on too tightly to people who have left, to things that are gone, to outcomes that Allah never wrote for you. Peace comes when you loosen your grip and say, "Ya Allah, I trust your plan more than my own desires." Because when you release what was never meant for you, you make space for what was always meant to be yours. And let's be honest, there are times when nothing makes sense. You're praying, you're trying, you're doing everything right, but everything feels wrong. These are the moments when Allah is rewriting your destiny. Your confusion is not punishment, it is transformation. You are not being destroyed. You are being rebuilt. Many people only find their greatest blessings after they reach their lowest point. How many people cried over losing a job, only to realize later it brought them a better career? How many hearts shattered after losing someone, only to discover Allah saved them from a life of pain? How many people felt delayed in marriage, only to be gifted someone far better than they ever imagined? This is the pattern of Allah's mercy. Ease comes after hardship, not before it. And the ease is always worth the wait. So prepare for what Allah has written for you. Clean your heart, remove jealousy, bitterness, hopelessness. Increase your dua, strengthen your salah, because Allah does not send blessings to a heart that doubts His mercy. He sends them to the heart that knocks on His door with certainty. My dear brothers and sisters, peace is not a destination. Peace is a relationship with Allah. And the moment you place your heart in His hands, you will feel something this world cannot give. A calmness that fills your chest, a lightness that carries you, a hope that whispers, "What is coming is better than what is gone." May Allah grant your heart the peace it has been searching for. Amen. The human heart was created with a longing that nothing in this world can satisfy, a void that no amount of wealth, companionship, success, or recognition can truly fill. From the moment we enter this world, our hearts begin searching for meaning, belonging, and safety. But the dunya is not designed to give permanent peace. Everything in it is temporary. Everything shifts. Everything breaks. Everything leaves. And because the heart is fragile by nature, it attaches itself quickly and deeply to things that were never meant to be anchors. This is why people can have everything, money in their hands, support around them, opportunities before them, yet still feel restless, anxious, or incomplete. The heart was created to return to Allah, and until it does, it will wander endlessly through life, trying to settle in places that were never its home. When Allah says in the Quran, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest," it is not simply a verse to recite, but a divine diagnosis of the human condition. Allah is telling us that peace is not found in circumstances, but in connection, not in possession, but in remembrance, not in the external world, but in the internal state of a heart that knows its Lord. A heart that remembers Allah is a heart that recognizes its purpose, its origin, and its destination. It no longer chases the world with desperation, because it knows the world cannot give what only the Creator can. And a heart that forgets Allah becomes vulnerable to anxiety, fear, stress, jealousy, and the constant pressure to prove itself. The heart that is distant from its Lord becomes thirsty, and the dunya cannot quench that thirst no matter how much it pours into it. This is why you see people turning to distractions when their hearts feel unsettled. They scroll endlessly on their phones, they chase entertainment, they look for validation from others, or drown themselves in work. They try to fill the emptiness with noise, hoping that if they distract themselves enough, the heart will stop complaining. But the heart always speaks. It whispers in moments of silence. It aches when the lights dim. It trembles at night when everyone else is asleep. The heart knows what it needs, and it will keep demanding it until the person returns to the one who made it. Allah designed the heart in such a way that it will never fully be at ease until it reconnects with Him. Even the most righteous people felt this dependence. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most beloved to Allah, used to make dua, O turner of the hearts, keep my heart firm upon your religion. If the heart of the best of creation needed constant connection to stay steady, what about our own? If he sought Allah's protection from the heart slipping, how much more do we need to guard our hearts, to nourish them, to keep them alive with remembrance, recitation, dua, and trust? When you look around at the world today, you see people trying to find peace in every direction except the right one. They think peace will come when their problems disappear, when their finances improve, when the right person enters their life, when they move to a different place, or achieve a certain goal. But peace does not come from external changes. It comes from internal alignment with Allah. A heart connected to Allah can experience calmness even in chaos. It can feel hopeful in hardship, secure during uncertainty, and content even when the world shakes beneath its feet. The human heart was created to return to Allah, and only in that return does it finally find the peace it has been searching for all along. When a person goes through hardship, it is easy to assume that it is simply bad luck, a punishment, or a dark period that must be endured. But Allah never allows pain to touch the heart without purpose, without wisdom, without a message hidden inside it. Every difficulty carries a sign, a reminder, a gentle push, or sometimes a powerful pull that redirects us back to where we were always meant to be. When life becomes heavy, when a door you depended on suddenly closes, when someone you trusted disappoints you, or when a plan you believed in completely collapses, these moments are not random. They are divine signals meant to awaken something inside you, to soften your heart, to shift your path, or to elevate your rank in ways you may not understand in the moment. Allah says, we will surely test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, loss of lives, and loss of fruits. Give glad tidings to the patient. Look at how Allah lists the very things that shake a human being to the core: fear, loss, uncertainty, grief. And then He tells you to give glad tidings to those who remain patient. It is as if Allah is saying, in what you fear is guidance, in what you lose is protection, in what pains you is growth, in what confuses you is clarity waiting to unfold. The signs are there, but the troubled heart often rushes to interpret hardship through emotion rather than trust. When the heart hurts, it doesn't always see the wisdom, it only feels the sting. Sometimes Allah sends hardship as a means to remove you from harm you cannot see. You might be devastated about losing an opportunity, not knowing that taking it would have led you down a path filled with difficulty. You might feel abandoned when someone leaves, not realizing that Allah is protecting you from heartbreak that would have been far deeper. You might wonder why a plan failed so suddenly, unaware that Allah replaced it because He knew you deserved something better. The signs Allah sends are not always dramatic. Sometimes they are subtle, silent, and woven into the events of your life in ways only your heart can interpret when it is calm and connected to Him. And there are times when hardship is simply Allah calling you back. When a person becomes too attached to the dunya, when their heart becomes distracted, when their priorities shift away from what truly matters, Allah might allow pain to enter their life to wake them before they sink too deep. Just like a loving parent raises their voice to stop a child from running into danger, Allah may shake your life a little to save your soul. Some of the most profound spiritual awakenings come from moments of pain, because the heart becomes more open, more sincere, more humble, more willing to listen. A soft heart receives signs more clearly than a hard one. Reflect on how people often turn to Allah the most intensely in hardship. Tears fall more sincerely. Dua becomes deeper. The heart becomes more truthful. Suddenly the world feels smaller, and Allah feels closer. It is during these moments that the signs become clearer. A verse you needed to read appears before you. A reminder finds you at the perfect time. A conversation opens your eyes, or a small unexpected mercy gives you strength to continue. These are not coincidences, they are answers. They are signs tailored specifically to your situation, sent by the one who knows the secrets of your heart better than you do. Allah's signs during hardship are like lanterns placed along a dark path. You may not see the entire road, but each lantern guides you to the next step. The key is not to rush, not to drown in worry, but to pause and ask, what is Allah showing me? What is He saving me from? What is He preparing me for? When you begin to see hardships as communication rather than punishment, the entire experience transforms. The pain remains, but it gains meaning, direction and beauty. Letting go is one of the hardest things the human heart is asked to do, because the heart becomes attached quickly and deeply. It holds on to people, memories, expectations, and imagined futures with a kind of desperate strength, believing that its peace depends on keeping these things close. But the reality is that much of the heart's suffering comes not from what it loses, but from what it refuses to release. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes removes what harms us, even if we think it is good. He sometimes delays what we want because the timing would break us. He sometimes closes doors we were knocking on for years because behind them is a path that would destroy our peace. Letting go is not a loss, it is a form of spiritual detox. It empties the heart of what does not serve it, so it can receive what Allah has written. People often cling to things that were never theirs to begin with. They hold on to relationships that drain them, friendships that betray them, dreams that no longer fit who they are, and identities built on pleasing others, rather than pleasing Allah. They cling not because these things are good, but because the heart fears emptiness. Yet emptiness is sometimes the mercy. The Prophet Ibrahim, as was commanded to leave his wife and child in the barren desert, a command that seems impossible through human eyes. But by releasing what he loved for the sake of Allah, Allah returned those blessings to him in a form greater than he could imagine. Similarly, every believer is asked to let go of something at some point in life, not to punish them but to prepare them. When a person finally releases what harms them, the heart begins to breathe again. There is a quiet relief, a sense of space, a clarity that was not available before. This clarity allows the heart to recognize that what it was holding on to was not sustaining it but suffocating it. Sometimes Allah does not give you what you want because your hands are too full of what you don't need. Letting go is like unclenching your fist after holding something tightly for too long. At first the hand trembles, it feels weak, it aches, but slowly, it relaxes, it heals, it becomes ready to hold something new. There is a deep spiritual power in surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up on life or abandoning effort. It means giving up the illusion of control. It means saying, I have tried, I have prayed, I have cried, and now I place it entirely in your hands, Ya Allah. This is the moment when the heart stops fighting reality and starts flowing with divine wisdom. A surrendered heart no longer demands that life follow its plan. It trusts that Allah's plan is better, even if it feels heavy. And when the heart reaches this state, it becomes receptive to blessings that were previously blocked by attachment. Real-life stories reflect this divine pattern all the time. People who could not imagine living without a certain person eventually find a level of peace they never knew existed. Those who cried over missed opportunities later realized those opportunities would have trapped them. Those who felt abandoned by someone they loved eventually see that Allah saved them from a lifetime of struggle. In every story of heartbreak that turned into peace, you will find the same turning point. The moment they let go and trusted Allah. Letting go creates space not only in the heart, but also in one's destiny. Allah does not fill a heart that is cluttered with dunya, fear or attachment. He prepares it first. Detachment from the dunya is not about living without blessings. It is about not letting blessings replace the one who gives them. When the heart becomes free, Allah places in it what was meant for it all along, and this time it stays. There are moments in life when a person looks at their situation and feels as though nothing adds up. They pray, they try, they do everything they believe is right, yet the results seem delayed, distorted, or completely opposite of what they expected. This is the point where the human mind begins to question, and the heart begins to tremble. Trusting Allah when everything is clear is easy, but trusting Him when nothing makes sense, this is where true faith is built, strengthened and proven. It is in the confusion, the silence, the waiting and the unexpected twists of life that Allah tests the depth of your belief in His wisdom. And these tests are not sent to break you but to elevate you to a level of reliance you have never experienced before. Sometimes Allah allows confusion to settle in your heart because clarity at that moment would ruin His plan for you. If you knew what He was preparing behind the scenes,
you might rush it, interfere with it, or cling to something that He is trying to remove. Confusion is not always a sign that things are going wrong. It can be a sign that Allah is guiding you through a path where logic must surrender to trust. The story of Yusuf Aziz is a perfect example of this. How could being thrown into a well, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for a crime he did not commit possibly make sense to him at the time? Yet every painful chapter was actually a step toward the throne of Egypt. Nothing made sense until everything did. This is how Allah writes destinies, with wisdom that often only becomes visible when the journey ends. Real-life examples echo this divine pattern. Think of someone who loses a job they relied on, feeling devastated and confused. In the moment it feels like a door slammed shut for no reason. But months later, they find a better opportunity, one that brings stability, fulfillment and growth. At that point they look back and realize that what felt like destruction was actually protection. Or consider the person who faces heartbreak, believing that their world has fallen apart because a relationship ended. They cry, question, and worry. Yet later, Allah brings someone into their life who brings peace, kindness, and sincerity, far beyond what they once begged for. Suddenly the pain that made no sense becomes the very reason they reached a happier place. Trust is not built in moments of comfort. It is built when Allah takes you through situations where you cannot see the wisdom. When you stand in front of a future that looks uncertain, when your efforts seem fruitless, when every door feels unanswered, that is when the heart learns to rely on the unseen. It learns to say, Ya Allah, I do not understand this, but I know you do. And this surrender is one of the most beloved acts of worship in Allah's sight. Angels write it down. Blessings descend because of it. Doors open that were previously sealed shut. There is also a hidden beauty in times when nothing makes sense. These moments strip away illusions. They remove your dependence on people. They force you to confront your vulnerability. They show you how powerless you truly are, and how powerful Allah truly is. They expose the limits of your planning and the perfection of His planning. They teach you that even the strongest intellect cannot comprehend what Allah arranges with divine precision. And this realization deepens your humility, softens your heart, and brings you closer to Allah in a way comfort never could. In the confusion, Allah is transforming you. He is strengthening your patience, sharpening your insight, reshaping your heart, and preparing your soul for what you asked for, or something far better. Many people pray for strength, and Allah gives them hardship to build it. They pray for wisdom, and Allah gives them difficulty to teach it. They pray for closeness to Him, and Allah gives them moments of vulnerability, where they fall to their knees and endure with a sincerity they never reached before. Nothing makes sense because everything is being rearranged in your favor. When life feels chaotic, it does not mean Allah is absent. It often means He is the closest, rearranging circumstances in ways you cannot yet perceive. The confusion is temporary, but the outcome is lasting. The struggle is painful, but the growth is permanent. The moment trust replaces fear, the heart begins to see signs, opportunities, and mercies that were hidden behind the veil of confusion. After every hardship, Allah promises ease. But that ease is not something a person simply stumbles into without preparation. It is something the heart, mind and soul must become ready to receive. Many people pray for blessings, for breakthroughs, for new chapters, but their hearts are still carrying the weight of old wounds, old habits, and old doubts. When Allah prepares ease for a believer, He also prepares the believer for the ease. This is why periods of waiting, healing and transformation are so important. They are not empty spaces in life. They are divine workshops where Allah shapes you into someone capable of holding the very blessings you have been asking for. A blessing is not just about its arrival, it is about your readiness to handle it without letting it destroy your peace or distance you from your Creator. Preparation begins inwardly, long before anything changes outwardly. A person must cultivate a heart that is receptive rather than resistant, hopeful rather than fearful, and trusting rather than doubtful. This inner readiness is what allows blessings to settle peacefully rather than slip away unnoticed or be taken for granted. Imagine someone who prays for a righteous spouse but has not yet healed from past hurts or unresolved grudges. If the blessing arrived too soon, their heart might sabotage it. Or someone who asks for financial growth while still holding on to habits of wastefulness, comparison, or ingratitude. If wealth arrived before discipline, it could become a source of stress rather than comfort. Allah does not withhold blessings. He protects you from receiving them at the wrong time. Part of preparation is refining your character, forgiving people who have wronged you, letting go of jealousy, removing arrogance, and clearing your heart of resentment open the spiritual pathways for mercy to flow in. A heart that is heavy with negativity cannot hold delicate blessings. That is why Allah sometimes delays what you want, because He knows your current emotional and spiritual state would not allow you to appreciate, preserve, or elevate what He intends to give. Blessings are like rain. They need clean soil to produce growth. If the soil is hardened, polluted, or unprepared, the rain benefits nothing. But when the soil is cleansed and softened, even a small amount of rain can bring life, color, and beauty. Preparation also includes strengthening your habits. Consistency in salah, sincerity in dua, recitation of the Quran, and guarding your tongue become the spiritual routines that stabilize your heart before the blessing arrives. These acts of worship are not burdens. They are strengthening exercises for the soul. They make you resilient, humble, and aware of Allah's presence. They create a foundation so firm that when Allah sends ease, it does not distract you from Him. Instead, it brings you closer. Some people lose themselves in blessings because they were not spiritually grounded. Others rise through blessings because their hearts were already anchored in Allah. Alongside spiritual preparation comes the readiness of the mind. A person must learn to think with faith rather than fear, with gratitude rather than scarcity. They must train themselves to see challenges as opportunities for growth and expand their mindset to match the size of the blessing they seek. A small heart cannot carry a big blessing. A fearful mindset cannot walk through a big door. Allah may delay ease until the believer learns patience, trust, and emotional maturity, because these qualities ensure that when the ease arrives, it enriches them rather than overwhelms them. There is also an external preparation that happens quietly. Allah arranges the right people, opportunities, and circumstances at the